Oh, you got that, huh? I'm Mike. I'm an alcoholic. My sobriety date is April 23rd, 1985. And the reason I say that is I got sober in Texas. And that's what they do in Texas. I learned a long time ago, never touch the microphone because somebody's going to yell at you. So thank you, Beth. Hey, hasn't this been a lot of fun so far? Oh, my God. Just all of it. I could, rewind to yesterday and run through that, and then this morning, and all we've gotten to experience, and just and Paul, that was the best talk Paul's given today, man. That was unbelievable. And miracles happen. Yeah, they asked us to talk about preservation. I think Paul said something really important about his personal journey with this, and that is that he was self-taught. He learned how to do this. To learn how to do something takes some effort. It takes an investment of your time. It takes your willingness to talk to other people and ask them, "Hey, man, how do you do this?" And sometimes it takes planning. And that's where I haven't done real well. Because here I am, sober a little over 40 years, and I've never had a plan. I mean, I went to see Howard, my sponsor, years ago. My life seemed like it was crumbling to the ground, and I woke up and I had a concern. And then I thought about it for a minute and it became a problem. And I thought about my problem for a minute, it became a crisis, and nothing changed. Other than I was thinking. I go see Howard, and we sit down, and Howard says, I give him my crisis, and he says, your life is in divine order, unfolding into goodness. And I'm thinking, clearly he did not understand the magnitude of the stuff I'm dealing with. So being a bit of a salesman, I regrouped and repositioned what I had to say and gave it to him from another angle. This time knowing I'm going to get some information that I can do something with. And he has his hands flat on the table. He says, your life is in divine order, unfolding into goodness. And then he saw the pain on my face and he said, Mike, if you go back through your life as far back as you can go, as far back as you can remember, and you look at all the circumstances and events that occurred, you'll notice that the times where you were most afraid, where you were afraid of, didn't happen. Those times where you wanted something really bad, you didn't get it, what you ended up with was better than what you wanted. And if you're honest about it, you'll see how God has pulled a golden thread through each and every one of those circumstances and events. I bought into it and I thought, wow, that's fantastic. So I'm going to just let God plan the rest of the journey because I don't know what I'm doing. And you know what? It's worked out. It's been working out. And so I'm going to have to take you on a little bit of a journey because they want to know a little bit about preservation and history and the importance of it and what we're doing. And if I say this statement, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't, Yeah, but if you get up real early in the morning, you go on down there where they're putting the oats out, you put salt in the oats, the horses will drink all day. I'm here to salt your oats, okay? That's what this is about. That's why I said yes. Okay, is I think it's important to get you thirsty for our history because the only way that we can preserve something is to care about it. Yes. See, we first have to recognize it and care about it. So I want to take you on a little bit of a journey, and I know lunch was in you all in your little food coma. I've been watching people while Paul's trying to hold their face up and listen, man, it's going to be okay. A couple hours, you'll be out of here. We'll be fine, all right? So, what was I talking about? What's so good is you get a little older and you start forgetting things. It doesn't matter. Yeah, salty oats. That's what I'm here for. Just salty oats. So what I hope to do, honestly, is maybe there's someone out there today that's struggling. I was struggling when I came to you guys. See, my first detox was in Children's Hospital in Buffalo, New York. And I came to Alcoholics Anonymous meetings for almost 11 years, and I never got 30 days sober. And the miracle of Alcoholics Anonymous hadn't hit me yet, and I grew up with it in my home. But what happened to me was, and this is where my journey in history starts. I was sitting in the Midwest Tape Library. You're going to hear about that in a minute. And I was with Dr. Bob's son, Smitty. And Smitty and the two guys that were helping me were a guy named Big John and another guy named Bill O. And I'm going to tell you a lot about them. But Smitty said to me, Mike, has Bill or John told you about the first guy that my dad and Bill Wilson worked with? And I'm thinking, well, yeah, AA number 3, Bill D., Akron City Hospital. And he said, oh, no, Mike. He says, there was a guy before Bill D., and this guy's name was Eddie R. And he said, Eddie was a bad drunk. And he said, they would put Eddie to bed in the bedroom, and he would go out, open the window and go down the downspout and go get drunk. And Dr. Bob and Bill would try to round him up and bring him back and get him sober and start the process over. And Smitty said, well, one day Eddie was chasing my mom around the house with a butcher knife. And he had to be committed to a sanitarium. And I'm listening to this. And as he's telling me the story of Eddie, I'm thinking about the last 11 years of my life and the people who tried to help me and the people that I lied to and the people I took from and how much of a disappointment I felt like I was to everybody. If there was anything good going on in my life, I found a way to bring the cloud over it. I found a way to ruin it. I'm graduating high school and I'm walking across the stage and somebody in the back yells out one of my nicknames, drugs! I was embarrassed. I knew I didn't deserve to be there anyway. But I was, again, another letdown. And when Smitty told me this story of Eddie, I was thinking about, well, Eddie must have felt like a disappointment. And maybe Bill and Bob felt like a disappointment. Here's a man they're trying to help, give something to. That they know if they do this, they're going to stay sober. And Smitty looked at me, and I think he could see the confusion on my face, because he said, Mike, the story didn't end there. He said, 15 years later at my father's funeral, a man extended his hand and said, do you know who I am? And Smitty looked at him and said, well, you're Eddie. And Eddie said, yes, and I've been sober for 2.5 years, and I'm a member of the Youngstown group. And I heard that story, and for the first time in over 11 years, I started to learn what Alcoholics Anonymous was. You see, I had in my head what I thought AA was. I grew up in this beautiful AA sober home, but I was clueless of what AA was. Because, see, I thought AA was all of you sober people handing your spiritual message down to us lowlifes. Okay? And when I heard the story of Eddie, I thought, my God, this program wasn't handed down by the giants. This program was lifted up from the broken. It was men like Eddie and Dr. Bob relapsing and the challenges that Bill had that made AA work. It was one another lifting each other up. That was AA, and I thought, I belong here. When I heard the story of Eddie, it was okay that I felt like my life was a disappointment. It was okay that I literally felt like somebody had licked all the red off my candy, okay? Like I'd cheer up this room by leaving. And that was the kind of guy that I was. And here, the co-founder's sons telling me glad tidings. My God, the first guy that they talked to is a complete failure and has to go into a sanitarium. And yet he shows up sober 15 years later. And his story didn't end. Eddie's story didn't end. He went to work with the National Council on Alcoholism in Youngstown, Ohio, and continued to work there sober and a member of Alcoholics Anonymous until his death. You see, when we plant the seed, we have to let God do the work. We're not in the results business. We are in the action business. Our job is to take that action. So my old man, they didn't know what to do with me. I've been coming to AA for all these years. You know, I knew how to talk some of the talk, okay? You know, keep coming back. That was the talk I knew. Keep coming back. Got to be somebody there with a few bucks. Maybe there'll be a girl there that's lonely. I kept coming back. I was just coming back for the wrong reasons. And I kept getting sicker and sicker and sicker. Well, I got to Texas and Big John. So what happened was is I got to a point where they didn't know what to do with me. And my dad, a sober member of Alcoholics Anonymous, knew a guy down in Texas because this guy traveled around carrying a message. And he called him up and he said, John, I got Mike here and I don't know what to do with him. John said, send the kid down here for a couple of weeks. We'll see if he wants the deal. It was called AA, the deal. Okay? And I went down to Texas for 2 weeks. I stayed for 2 years. He had a 1-bedroom apartment. He gave me the bedroom. I did everything alcoholically, even get sober. 2 years? I take the guy's bed? Somebody will call me up and ask me to go across town to do something, and the first thing that I think of is, well, that's a little inconvenient. And I think, this guy gave up his bed for 2 years? For me? No, I'm not going to say no. So, my first day in Texas, Big John comes into my bedroom. Because it became my... Oh, what the hell? I'm sleeping there. That's going to keep coming down. Come on, kid. Come on. We got things to do, places to go, people to see. Let's go. Get out of bed. Come on, kid. You're 80. I don't know anybody in Texas. It can wait. He brings me to his best friend, Bill O'Neill. And we pull into the driveway, and John says, kid, this is the Midwest Tape Library. It's the largest AA tape library in the world. And I'm thinking, so what? Who cares? We get into this tape library, and we got Bill O'Neill, okay? Now I got to set this up a little bit, okay? Now Bill's got one eye and one arm. Okay? He lost his eye in a traffic accident. He lost his arm in another traffic accident. So he had an alcohol problem. When I met him, now I know none of you guys would do this, but like I would have like names for people. Okay? Yeah. Bill's name was Grumpy. I didn't say it, but I felt it. Grumpy. So we get into this Midwest tape library, and we're sitting at a kitchen table. And, you know, they were always, we went there every day. That was how I started my day. Every day we'd go to Bill and Arbutus, and we'd sit at this, and we'd drink instant coffee. Okay? They had this little orange pot of water, and then you take this cup of dirt, and you put this stuff in, and mix it up. And then you act like it's good. Good coffee. Thanks for the coffee. It's great. Man. Well, they're having a conversation one day, And they knew Sister Ignatia, and they knew Bill D, and they knew Sam Shoemaker, and Bill Wilson, and Smitty, and the list goes on. And every day I'm with these folks, and they're having these conversations, and this is early in my recovery, and they're sitting and I got to tell you, when I got to Texas, I didn't have the ability to talk like I do today, okay? I could get like a 7-word sentence out, and 3 of them started with an F, all right? So I'm getting a little better. It's incremental. Sobriety is a little at a time, okay? Well, anyway, they're having this conversation, and somehow I thought that it was my turn. So I said one of my sentences. Can you hand me the water? And Bill O'Neill starts pounding one of his fingers down on the table, and he's staring at me with one of his eyes. And he says, "The first thing we clean up in here, young man, is our mouth." And I'm thinking, boy, did you have it right with Grumpy. We got outside, and I said to Big John, "What's up with Grumpy? I'm 25 years old, and you guys are going to start telling me how I have to talk." Well, kid, you see, this program saved our life, and it might save yours. And we know and knew Bill and Lois. And we knew a lot of the men and women that were the early pioneers. And if it wasn't for the work that they did, wasn't for the dedication that they had and the sacrifices that they made, Bill knows that we wouldn't be here. And what he's really saying to you is, you might be the only big book that some new guy or new girl gets to see. And he wants you to be a good example of what this program is. And I want you to know that I bought into that. And I've kept that attitude of, I have to be an example of what this program is. And I hope I'm a good example. And I hope God allows me to come up behind a podium, that I have a responsibility. And that responsibility is to be an accurate example of this program. Because, you see, that's the message of depth and weight. That's why when Bill and Bob walked into that library and they walked out arm in arm, and Bill and Bob looks at him and says, yes. It was because Bill went with a message of depth and weight. He had something to say. So I'm at this library and I'm learning, and Big John is a circuit speaker, so he's booking places that he's going to speak in Seattle and Toronto and Saskatchewan and Lubbock and wherever. And the committee would call and he'd say, "I don't like to fly, but I got the kid here, and the kid's my driver. We'll be there." So Bill O'Neill would take the tapes, and he would put together a shoebox full of cassette tapes, okay? And then Big John would get his arsenal out, okay? AA Comes of Age, As Bill Sees It, AA Way of Life, the 12 and 12, the big book. So he'd have his arsenal of books. And now we're going to take the road trip. We took a road trip every week. So we're taking a road trip, and John's like reading to me, right? All the AA, and then he quizzed me. "No, what's Dr. Bob's address?" Literally AA school on wheels, okay? These guys were a blast, man. Okay, John would say things to me. I'm really trying to give you some history today in a different way, okay? But John would say things to me like, "Kid, could you make me breakfast today and put a little yolk on those eggs?" I'd fry up some bacon. There'd be grease flying all over the kitchen. I'd get him, and he'd brag the whole damn day. This kid's a cook. He made me the best breakfast I ever had. Yeah. And most of you that heard me, I like to tell, he asked me to make him meatballs, spaghetti and meatballs. Okay? Can you make those meatballs round? Okay? I grew up in Buffalo, man. I could make a snowball as good as anybody in this room. So I'm like, yeah, sure, because I'm at a point where that's what you say. When you just say, oh, yeah, sure. I'm the cook, I'm the driver, I'm the confidant, I'm whatever you want me to be. You know, because this is like a free ride. Like, I don't even have a job. So, what the heck? So I go, and I remember my mom would put bread and meat and eggs into her meatballs. So I figured that's easy enough. I go up, I'll get some bread, I'll get some meat, I'll get some eggs, I'll come back, I'll do it. I got a little jar of Prego and threw that in a pan, and I took the hamburger, I put the 1 pound of hamburger, I put it in a bowl, I put the loaf of bread in a bowl, and I put the dozen eggs in on top of it. Okay? And I got to tell you, man, I made these snowballs that blow your mind. Okay, they were white, they were slimy, eggs just dripping off them, and I cooked them in the grease that was sitting on the stove since the morning from when I cooked the bacon and eggs. Okay, because I hadn't yet learned that you like clean up after yourself. You know, I mean that's it. And sobriety is a little at a time. It's incremental. Okay. I got 2 weeks of compliments out of that. That guy would stop you in a grocery store. This kid made me spaghetti and meatballs, best spaghetti. He learned from his mom. My mom would have freaked out. No way. I ask you one question. Would you have wanted to hang out with Big John? You're damn right you would have. You see, it was a program of attraction. I wanted to be around these people. Why? Because they were making me feel good. That's why. They weren't telling me stuff like, oh, take the cotton out of your ears and stick it in your... I'll just stop there. No, man, they were saying stuff like, tonight you're going to be the door greeter at that door, and when people get here, I want you to tell them you're glad that you see them. That's what I want you to do. See that new guy? I want you to get him a cup of coffee. And when he's done, I want you to fill it again for him. They told me what to do. I needed that. See, I came to you guys broken. I literally, when I tell you that I would cheer up a room by leaving, I am not kidding, okay? I was angry at everybody because all my anger was at me. And I couldn't handle it anymore without alcohol and drugs. So I had to be angry at you. And thank God Big John understood that. Because he let me get my anger out at him. I hope you choke on that cigar and die. And he'd go, oh, kid, you're getting it. Jesus, you're getting better, kid. Gosh. One time, Bill O'Neill was going to tape a conference in Casper, Wyoming, okay? And Big John comes to me and he says, Bill's going to go to Casper, Wyoming, and he's going to record a conference, okay? And he wants you to go with him. I'm like, okay. He wants you to drive. All right. I've known Bill since 1951. And in all these years, I've never seen Bill want anyone to drive for him. Well, I'd be honored. I'll do it. Now, I'm buying this, right? Okay, I'm thinking, man, I'm a big deal. Bill wants me to drive. He wants to see. And in all these years, he's never let anybody drive. And here I am. And he drove. One eye and one arm. We're going through Denver, Colorado, and it starts snowing like bad. He's glaring at me with his eye while he's lighting his pipe, driving with his knee. I'm having a new relationship with my higher power, man. I'm like, holy gosh. And he's got that little grin on his face like he's getting off watching me freak out. Well, then many years later, we had the opportunity to get this library, okay, after Bill passed on. And we were able to buy the library from the family. And I was down there preparing this stuff to pick this library up that I didn't know what I was going to do with. And this, I have to kind of tell you the whole story so you get it. But I'm picking the library up. And two things entered my mind. One was, have your priorities right. And what I mean by that is, I've never missed a band concert, a Little League game, a church event, anything that my children or my wife have been involved in. And the reason I never missed those is because a little lady named Arbutus said to me, you stay home and take care of your children. And when I was packing that library up, I could tell that the grown daughters had resentment toward their family because of the work and service that Bill and Arbutus had done and left the family behind. And when she told me that, I didn't understand why she said, no, you don't need to be out there speaking, Mike. You need to be home taking care of your babies. What the hell's going on? Jesus. Take your meds, please. Come on, man. I mean, I heard it from all three sides of the room. Let's see. It's 3 o'clock. It's time for your medication. Oh my God. You ever see the ones that aren't medicated? You want what I got? You can have it, because I don't want it. All right, enough of that. I'm not here to entertain. But why not? I'm still waiting for somebody to yell, stand up! So what happened is we had the opportunity to acquire that library in 2005. And the library had 3,300 reel-to-reel tapes and a bunch of other stuff. And I drove down to Texas from Arizona, and I had no plan. This is kind of, when Howard said your life's in divine order, unfolding into goodness, I didn't have a plan. So I brought this stuff home and realized that we had to remodel the house because you can't put reel-to-reel tapes in the garage when it's 190 out. We were living in Arizona. So I took my wife's living room and we made it a tape library. And we began digitizing. Thanks, Keith. Now stay awake the rest of the talk. Hey, Matt, you know what? I'm probably going to do this tomorrow, but Eddie and Tim and Jeff and Keith and Eric and Andrew and Jeff and the recovery speakers, volunteers that have been doing so much work for us to keep the message alive. So thank you, Jeff. And this guy here, hard to believe I've been friends with him for a long time, okay? So I was writing some books, years ago, and I would write after the kids would go to bed because, kids are quiet, they go to bed, Joy goes to bed, dogs go to bed, and it's me. And I could sit there and write. I'd call him. We'd be on the phone till 3 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning. And then I'd write for 15 minutes. And then my wife would come home from work that day, and I'd say, man, I got a lot of writing done last night, honey. Would you edit it? Joy was my editor. Okay? And my kids would give me, like I graduated high school, I didn't deserve it. I couldn't spell then, I can't spell now. And but with the tools, and if you take action, you'll get stuff done. And people will surround you, and God will put people in. If you're doing God's work, the walls will come down. And I do believe that. Anyway, we brought this library home. We began to identify some of what we had. Now, I'm not an audio guy, okay? The only thing I know about audio is how to put a record on or something. So I knew nothing. And then I get all of these recordings, and I know they have to be digitized. So I find a guy that can digitize them, okay? And he tells me $10 a talk. And I'm like, that's cool, no problem. So I grabbed, now out of the 3,000 plus talks, I went to the reels and I pulled out some that I thought, these are some that we need. Bill Wilson, here's the International Convention at 1950, and here. So I pulled out some of these really cool recordings, and I took them to the guy, and he digitized them, and I went back and now the reel-to-reels, okay, they would buy the big reels, least expensive they could get, because everybody was broke. And then they would tape at the slow speed, and then they would do the top track and the bottom track, and then they would do the forward and the reverse. All right? You could get up to 20 hours on these things, okay? It was sick, but I didn't know this. Okay? Some of you are figuring out, Mike's about to get surprised. Mike's gonna freak out. I brought a little box, $2,500. What? Well, yeah, here's your tapes. You said you wanted $10 a time. Wow, I had no idea. One, I had no idea that the reel-to-reels would hold that much. I had no idea that it was going to be this expensive of a process. So I was funding that and then putting them online. And I'm not the brightest guy in the world, okay? As a matter of fact, sometimes I wonder a lot about my level. 3 o'clock. No. Where the heck did this come from today? Must be you. What was I just talking about? Huh? Oh, yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. I'm Mike. I'm an alcoholic. No, man. So what happened was I put these out online. Okay, and I'm a nice guy, so you can download them, right? Yeah, that's it. And guess what? People started downloading everything I was putting up there, and then I see them going for sale on eBay, and I'm thinking, wait a minute, you have no idea that we're about to go bankrupt, and you're selling my stuff. So we changed, okay, and we provide a streaming service. It was that. It's about learning and being educated, and it's not about protecting and keeping things from people. It's about trying to make it so that it's fair, so you can continue what you're doing. A lot of the recordings that we have, we've also acquired another 2,300 reel-to-reels from Akron, Cleveland, and those have not yet been digitized. We have 250 wire recordings that have not been digitized. We are in the process. Now, Recovery Speakers is a 501c3 nonprofit charitable organization set up to preserve the audio history and make that available to all future members or interested in 12 steps. Okay, we've really done a tremendous amount of work over the last 2 decades. What we've done in the last 6 months is more than we've been able to do in the previous 20 years. Because and what you're going to see, I'm telling you, is going to blow your mind. We are currently in the process of creating a platform where every one of the talks on recovery speakers will be transcribed, okay? So that not only will you be able to hear it, you'll be able to see the transcription, you'll be able to download the transcription. And if you speak a language like French or Italian or Spanish, you'll be able to get it in your own language. The quality of the talks are being treated, and AI. There's a lot of really good stuff that we're able to do and that we're learning, and Andrew and Tim have really been working hard getting a lot of the stuff with recovery speakers ready for the platform, because it takes a long time and a lot of effort. But we're so excited about that, and so excited to be able to come and do things like this. One of the things that Recovery Speakers is going to allow you to do is, let's say you're going to do a presentation on sponsorship, okay? Because everything is going to be transcribed, we're going to have a database that will be searchable by keyword and by theme. So you'll be able to put in sponsorship, and it'll pull up 40 to 50 talks with the transcriptions and show you exactly where the individual was talking about sponsorship. So we will actually have a functioning research library. I want to give you the good news is we're well on our way. The bad news is you're going to pay for it. And that's not really bad news, okay? We are after the entry level. The website, the platform will then become private, okay? So the public can get on and see maybe Mike F, okay? But if they want to know my last name and the work that I do, they're going to have to pay maybe $7.95 a month to go that deep. And if they're doing a movie or a book, they may have to pay a little bit more. And I'm sharing that with you because we've got things around the thing, with QR codes and support recovery speakers. And I think it's important for you to know the work that we're doing. I also want you to know is no one has ever taken a paycheck from recovery speakers in 20 years. Okay? Hasn't happened. So, now I'm not saying that nobody's ever going to, hopefully we can get to a point where maybe some of us that have been putting all the work in can start to draw a little bit from that in the future. But right now, we're focused on preserving the message and making it available in creative ways. We want you to be able to find information as quickly as possible, but we want it to be accurate and we want it to be creative. Now, there's been a lot shared. One of the things about when you're going through books and you're going through letters and you're going through documents, you're limited because some of them are changed, some of them. But when you're hearing the voice of the person who lived that experience telling you, this is what I experienced, that is our history. That's why I'm so passionate about what I do, is because I believe that is so critically important. Why? Because when I left Big John, Bill O'Neill gave me a box of cassettes. And they saved my life. I listen to them every day. I have literally listened to thousands of recordings. Okay? And somehow my higher power has given me the ability to remember a lot of those. I can't remember what I had for lunch, but I can tell you what socks Bill Wilson was wearing on December 11, 1935. So I think what I'm saying is it's what's meaningful. So here's the task. They say, what can we do We're interested in history. I want to preserve the history. And I like what you say, Mike, and I love what Paul's doing. I think it's great what Gal's doing, what they're doing in Akron and Stepping Stones, and what we learned this morning in the Wilson House, and all of you guys are doing such wonderful stuff. And what can we do? Well, you get a tape recorder. You can tape the 3 oldest people in your community and get their version of the history of alcohol. But get 3 people, not 1. Get 3, because there'll be 3 different versions of the same damn story. That's why it's so much fun. See, it is. Like Howard, I said, Howard, I can't talk to them about history because there's people there that know more about it than me. And he's like, so? He said, let me take a $1 bill out, put it between you and me. He said, describe what you see. I do. He describes what he sees. He said, we just described 2 entirely different versions of the exact same $1 bill. That's our history, folks, okay? It depends on where you get it from. It doesn't make it right, doesn't make it wrong, doesn't make it good, doesn't make it bad. It's just what is, okay? I mean, if you're in New Jersey, like Lester was sharing today, a lot of stuff happened in New Jersey. You go across the river to New York, and they're going to say, a lot of stuff happened here. And you go down the street to Akron, they're going to say it happened here. And you go over the a few miles away, and Cleveland's going to tell you, no, man, they didn't even start until Cleveland. And so it's just a different side of the $1 bill. And I'm comfortable with you being wrong. So that's okay too. But so I think it's important. I think it's important for you to get the histories from your old timers. Okay, get the histories. If you can get some written histories, when did that group start? When did that group start? That stuff might not mean a damn thing to you right now, but that might keep somebody sober in 40 years from now. And they look back and they say, hey, you want to know something? There's a lady here with 50 years. I don't mean to pick on you. Right here, the silver hair, my friend from Florida. Rena. I said to Rena, I was talking to her, 50 years sober. And I asked her where she was from, and she told me, and I said, my dad's sponsor was a guy named Art Buchanan. And Art got sober on December 26, 1941. And Art brought me to a couple of AA meetings in Pompano in 1978. And she's like, I knew him. And I was probably at the meeting when you came. I mean, we think that this world is so big. But the reality is it's very tight. Paul said it. Gal said it. Somebody said it yesterday. Looking for God, it's like a fish looking for a drink. I mean, you can't get out of the water if you're the fish. God's either everything or nothing. So, come on, man. All right, so here's what I want to say. What I want to say to you is that everything is history. That I could give you a history talk right now from the stories of the big book, and half of you'd come up and go, where did you ever get that information? I could give a history talk on the forward to the second edition, and people would come up and say, where did you get that information? Use the tools that are available to you. You've got the big book and the 12 and 12. We've got the stories in the book. We've got the chapters of the traditions. We've got AA Comes of Age. We've got Pass It On. And then you've got the resources of, what Gail was sharing that they're doing at Dr. Bob's house. Go online and take a look at what they're doing at Stepping Stones. I mean, things are real. What's happened in the last 40 years we've been able to do in the last 4 months. It's incredible. Look at Gail, her presentations are improving to a point where she's able to do the best she's ever done. It's amazing. And while I'm on the Gail topic, the celebrity, I want to pay Gail a very sincere compliment, and she knows I mean this from my heart. I don't think that there's a lady alive in Alcoholics Anonymous today that's done more for the history of AA to communicate that to us and to the fellowship than Gail. Thank you.